going on, everybody? Welcome back to Monogatari, a favorite pastime for a couple of weeks yet. Unfortunately, it's over after that, but I do hope that we get a new season at some point in time in the next couple of years. I do hope Shaft be cooking. We do still have the Madoka movie, which I'm definitely gonna watch, but that's about it for now. Unfortunately. I really want to see more. So far I've been really excited about almost every episode. And even if it doesn't seem so, right? I've talked about it that beginnings of arcs are always kind of a little bit iffy for me. But that also, I'm enjoying the heck out of every episode, I have to say that, right? So don't get that mistaken and think that for whatever reason, I am not enjoying what we're doing here. I am definitely enjoying what we're doing here. I'm definitely enjoying every minute of it, even if sometimes I'm not doing that extra discussion or sometimes it seems like, oh, I didn't like this episode as much as the other episode, but there's always incredibly enjoyable elements. And I think I was kind of surprised the way we included Aragi in this arc. I was convinced in the beginning when we started out all of this that this was completely free of Aragi, but I kind of didn't peek that. I kind of didn't keep in mind that while Aragi's own character development is mostly over, that we have been ignoring the fact that yes, Shinobu is still kind of existing in somewhat of an in-between state, right? Shinobu hasn't developed completely, although I don't know in which capacity we could actually say that she develops, because she is an oddity at this point. So are we gonna have to believe that oddities all are completely stagnant, or are we supposed to believe that they do have development that they go through? We have evidence to both sides. We have evidence to that oddities don't change in general, but in Tsukihi, for example, but Tsukihi is a very extreme example, so we don't know if that is the exception or if it's the rule, or if it's like just the extreme of what is actually the case, which is oddities don't change that much and they only change based on the cognition other people have of them, but they can change to a degree. Only Tsukihi can't because she's the Phoenix and that's special. We do have evidence to character development in some way, shape, or form in terms of Hachikuji, right? Her starting as the lost snail, going over to being more or less a wandering spirit, right? But lying to herself, or like pretending to be the lost snail, but not making people be lost. And as a result of that, kind of having to go to hell, being brought back, that kind of neutralized in a way. Yeah, there's a weird dynamic here where, yes, oddities can change to some degree, but it's different as it is for humans. It's not as organic, as dynamic, and it probably depends on the people perceiving those oddities and being in close connection to them. In that case, Aragi would be probably the main catalyst for Shinobu to be able to change, to process things that happened in the past that she had forgotten. And no matter how we kind of understand and conceptualize all of that soul stuff, it is still Shinobu, right? It is still Asarola. It is still, I think, Laura was the name, who has to do that processing, who, to some degree, maybe we do some of it in this arc, maybe we do all of it in this arc, I doubt it, but you know. So there is something to be done here, most definitely. And I'm really excited for it. I'm looking forward to seeing Deftopia in the flesh this episode, hopefully. I'm really excited about Meniko as well, because I really think she's a very fun and bubbly character, so I hope we're seeing her again, since Aragi was like, I'm gonna go to the university to get that second cipher figured out. I'm having a couple of theories as to what is happening in terms of the plot. I think I agree with some of you who have talked with me in the Discord of Pink Cubed, because my main Discord is kind of dead. Because there's not a lot of people on there, unfortunately. But it is what it is, and I like talking to you nonetheless. On the Discord, we talked a little bit about and kind of found out that we kind of agree on some of the points where it's like, it's a very big possibility that Kie, who is our first quote-unquote victim, is kind of involved in all of this, because we have gathered some evidence, and one of them is that in the initial scene when her body was found, Gaen did not mention her having a strap, right? The strap that all the other like basketball members have. And second of all, we did also not see a strap when we actually heard the telling of Araragi when Kie met Deftopia, right? So it is very much a possibility, and I had that suspicion even before we discovered that the straps were missing for Kie, that she faked her death, right? Or faked her mummification, basically pretended, like, put a victim on there and did put some personal items onto that victim and was like, okay, this is Kie. That would also explain why the mummy of Kie is seemingly short-haired and doesn't have that, like, that ponytail, that specific one that Kie had in the flashback that we've seen, that kind of that Kobeni haircut. I think that is a strong point. Also, it could obviously be somebody connected to Deftopia's past or Shinobu's past. We have seen the second armor in DED, and I still don't think that this is Seshiro. I don't think it's the first. So there's this mystery going on, and we're probably gonna reveal it. Alright, where are we? Hachikuji is patrolling the town, making sure nothing happens. So I assume if something happens, Hachikuji is gonna be like, holy shit, you need to go there. Araragi is going to university figuring out the code. Gaen is digging through the phone records of the basketball member team and maybe meeting up with other people. I don't know. Ononoki is busy, but maybe she's still talking to her. Hopefully, we can figure this out before Kagenui arrives. Otherwise, we will have a second conflict on our hands. Either way, it's been a fun couple of episodes, and I think it's only gonna get better. So let's dig our heels into this new episode and get it started. First frame that we are syncing up with is going to be the first frame of the highway, which is this one. Right here. This is the first frame. We're going to sync it up with that. Alright. As per usual, I'm going to start with 3, 2, 1, and obviously when I do one and I click it, it's going to be the title chapter cut, chapter 27 at this point. But the first frame, the 001 on the timer, is going to be the highway frame. Alright. Monogatari Off&Monster Season, Episode 12, starts in a 3, a 2, a 1. Oh, wait. Actually. At some point in time, I'm going to break my neck doing that. 3, 2, 1. Bam! Alright. And we pick off where we started. Ooh, I like that shot. It's CGI, but it was cool. And she just appears. Kiso flashback. Until this moment, oh no. Okay. Deflection, maybe?
今晩守備よく意識を取り戻したとしても結局専門家に対峙されちゃうことになるのか。
That is a good question.
スーサイドマスターを無害認定する方向に僕が話を持っていっても。
Is she though?
やめておけ。あやつはわしのようななりきりと違ってモノホンの生まれついての吸血鬼じゃからな。
Was she though? We don't know.
神聖の吸血鬼にとって侮辱にしかならん。そんなことより。どうしてもと言いたいことなら他にあるのじゃ。我が主様。
どうしてもと言いたい他のことって？
スーサイドマスターに事情聴取をする際、600年ぶりに再会する昔の連れに対して見栄を張りたいから。
Okay.
だけはわしがお前様の奴隷なんじゃなくて、
お
前様がわしの奴隷って設定にしておいてくれんかの。
I mean, you have more of a mutual thing anyway. I mean, I guess she considers herself that way. Though I do wonder if the word that has been used is actually slave, or if it's like minion, and what the differentiation is on like the Japanese. Also, I find it very cool how Araki's doing like this one, like he has an epiphany, right? He's like, oh! I love how the slides change based on the rhythm. It's really cool. Like this OP kind of grew on me very quickly. Oh, that's a pretty picture. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck are we doing? And he actually talks to her? Wait, he has her phone number? Chan. Ooh, that's a cool shot. She has such an interesting style of like clothing, fashion. True. Ooh, frame. Why aren't they showing her eyes? The same pattern. Easy, right? So there's no next level. No, not this time. FC. See, yeah.
女子バスケットボール部員の中にそのイニシャルの持ち主がいるかどうかだね。
The basketball in the back.
そういうほのめかしもあったのかな。ほら、お揃いのイニシャルのストラップをつけてたじゃない。
Yeah.
そういえば、そうでしたね。
But it's not Kie.
カングーちゃんもストラップをつけていたよ。カングーミサゴだから KM だった。
でも、ちょっと待ってくださいよ、ガエンさん。それじゃあ、僕たちの探している吸血鬼はまさか女子バスケットボール部員の中にいる。
I mean, that's the idea, right? But it's somebody we don't know yet.
思いついただけの仲間の名前を書こうとしただけかもしれないし、これもそう思わせるための偽装かもしれない。
Might be.
サイドマスターの偽装工作という可能性だってあるさ。
But not likely, I think.
吸血鬼がいるだなんて意外な真相すぎますよね。
その可能性を否定した覚えもない。ま、今のところは可能性の総当たりだよ。
Yeah.
戦術のローラー作戦だ。FC なんてイニシャルは珍しそうだから、100名いる女子バスケットボール部員の中でも数人に絞り込めるんじゃないのかな。
FT is uncommon in Japanese, I guess.
暗号解読の手順を。
わかりました。でも今回の暗号は数字パズルではありません。
It was the same as the last time.
理系は理系でも数学ではなく理科の分野です。
Oh, okay. Not the same.
摂氏と可視でした。
Celsius and Fahrenheit, okay.
だから F と C。
Temperature.
120、280、610、160がどうすれば摂氏と可視になるんだい？
摂氏の場合も可視の場合も斜め上にどう表す丸がつきます。
Ooh, yeah.
乗数を書くのと同じ位置に。
その丸を0と解釈する。つまり暗号文にあるすべての数字の下一桁、820の0、280。
Ah, it's a zero, it's a zero. It's so easy. Like, it's so simple.
数字ではなく記号だと判断する。すると、820。
82, 28, 61, 16.
60は82度、28度、61度、16度となるんだよ。
Jeez. I love her. I love her.
だから FC が暗号文に対する回答文ってわけだ。おっと、イニシャルじゃ文とは言えないのか。しかしなるほどね。よくこんなことを思いつくな。
ええ。日ごとに最高気温と最低気温をチェックするのは運動部なら当然かもしれませんけれど。でも、朦朧とした意識で思いつくことじゃないですよね。
Yeah, it's not a mummy, probably.
語学友を
子バスケットボール部の部員の中にイニシャル FC の女子高生は何人いました？
ゼロ人。
Zero.
いなかった。
Yeah, I thought so. So it's not the basketball team.
ガエンさん、あんまりご機嫌が芳しくないみたいですけれど、またぞろ僕がいない間に不都合なニュースでもありましたか
？Araki picking up on that.
それこそコヨミンの心配がズバリ的中でね。女子高生の携帯電話の中身なんて見るんじゃなかった。その割に今のところ大した成果もないってんだから心が折れるところだったよ。
But
カンバルも現役時代はショートカットだったけれど、運動部だからじゃなくて、まさかカンバルの真似をしてみんな似たような髪型ってことはないよな。
But
似たような。
they all looked alike, yeah. That's what I was noticing.
たくあんなドロドロした人間関係を見せられればもう吸血鬼なんて怖くもなんともないな。まあ女子バスケットボール部が特殊だってのもあるんだろうけれどね。これが一般例だとはさすがに思いたくない大人として。不思議な部活動だね。自分たちで自分たちをいじめているようなものだった。まずいな。女子高生のコロニーに覚悟もなく踏み入ってドロドロの底なし沼に足を取られている間に影縫いが来ちゃうよ。
僕がそう
He's not happy at all.
ガエンさん、あの人まるっきりあなたの言うことに従わないってわけでもないんでしょ？
さてそこだ。確かに事情を説明すればスーサイドマスターを退治する必要はないという理屈は。
She might, but she might also not.
アーマで幼女化したスーサイドマスターなら無害認定も可能かも。実際スーサイドマスターは結界を力ずくで突破したんじゃなくて、単に結界が反応しないほどもう弱体化していたんじゃないか。
Ooh, that is an interesting point.
そんな現状でも女子高生の血を吸うことくらいはできるだろうから、この町にいるってだけでスーサイドマスターが筆頭の容疑者であることに違いはないんだがね。しかしミイラ化していた理由は何者かに襲撃を受けたからではなく、いよいよ弱体の限界が来て自ら官民に入ったという見方もできる。官民にして島民にして他人の吸血鬼だ。だとすると
Another title.
ちゃんのところに戻ろうとし、行き倒れになった。
Could be, but who buried her? Because she was like, she was buried. Ooh, what a frame.
実際のところ上に負けて女子高生を襲ったって線が一番強いとしても、今のところは推定無罪の原則が適用される。
Yeah, innocent until proven guilty. Also, it's very unlike her.
なんでですか？
というのもここだけの話、ちょっとした縁があるんだよ。問題のスーサイドマスターと大問題の影縫いには。
There is?
問題と
Questionable?
大問題。
たとえスーサイドマスターが今回の犯人でなくても、それでも影縫いを止めることはできない縁。正義を標榜することが唯一歯止めとなっているあの外道の陰陽師が今回だけは支援で動きかねない。
Oh no.
支援？あの正義感の塊が？
打つ手を間違えると私はまたしても後輩を破門しなくちゃならない羽目になる。
Holy shit.
それが嫌なんだよね。
She already...
というだけでおよそ4人には立ち入りがたいものを感じたので、
Mm.
は9代。名簿にはそんなイニシャルの持ち主はいなかった。
So what does it mean?
じゃなくて英単語の略称って線はありませんか？
略称？つまり人名以外の英単語ってことかい？
フランチャイズってことはないだろうから、例えばフットボールクラブとか、
Mm.
ファンクラブ。
Kambaro Fan Club?
そういうのがその昔ってほど昔はありませんけれど、スーパースターカンバルスルガの非公式ファンクラブが女子バスケットボール部とは別の組織で、さっきミイラの髪型がみんなほとんど同じだと思った時に、
Yeah, all like Kambaro.
確かあのファンクラブ
But Kia wasn't part of that.
なんて名称だったっけ？
それはなんだい？ルカは楓親衛隊みたいな感じか？
まさに。あんまり関連がありそうにもないですけれど、思いついちゃった以上は仕方ありません。ファンクラブの会員でこそありませんでしたが、うちの妹がその組織に近い場所にいましたから。
Ooh. Tsukiyo, I think Karen, right?
妹。
うちの妹、かっこ大きい方です。
ああ、カレンちゃんの方だね。了解了解。ヨシナに頼むよ。
It was like Tsuki? No, Karen, okay. That's fine.
撃を根性で続けながら捜索隊の報告を待って夜に備えるよ。
僕は
It's kind of bad if you can't do anything, right?
あとは暇だったらおいくらと遊んできます。
幼なじみちゃんのことはともかく、妹ちゃんと駿河に関しては。
Wait, he's playing with Soro, with Oikura? Hello? Did I miss something?
コヨミンもそろそろ一回帰宅して仮眠を取った方がいいよ。徹夜が辛くない吸血鬼体質にも限界はあるだろう。
Take care of yourself. Interesting that that comes right after he supposedly took too long to come back from death.
よ、カレンちゃん。
Interesting outfit.
ところでカンバルのファンクラブについて聞きたいことがあるんだが。
Oh, we're just okay. Oh, alright, here she is.
まだ私靴も脱いでねえよ。お帰りくらい言え。ところでから始まる本題があるか。枕がねえじゃねえか。
Wasn't she high, bigger than him?
カンバル先生のファンクラブ？
最近活動を再開したとか。
Holy shit, that room.
いや、そういうのはないと思うぜ。肝心のカンバル先生が引退しているわけだし、ファンは熱しやすく冷めやすいもんだ。
そんなに甘くなかったか。まあ。
Ooh, the OST goes hard. Oshinoko. Doesn't make a difference. There's a chance of vampires nonchalantly attending that to high school.
カレンちゃん、お前も今は女子高生だよな。
なんだよ、いきなり。
女子高生になってみてどうだ？新しい仲間とはうまくやっているの
か？ Ooh.
うまくやってるってのがどういう学校生活を指すのかは知らねえけど、まあ新天地も楽しいぜ。土日も学校に通いたいくらいだ。
I have thought so.
もう一個いいか、カレンちゃん。
Nothing could keep her down.
月日ちゃんと共に活動していたファイヤーシスターズってお前の卒業と同時に解散したじゃん。
Just swinging to the beat. It's distracting me. Moonfire. I love that angle.
どんな変遷をたどったかなのだが、月日のパートナーという後釜を狙っての抗争が起きたり、派閥争いがあったりはしなかったのだろうか。その辺は参謀担当の月日ちゃんがうまくやってたみたいだぜ。月日ちゃんは良くも悪くも自分を特別だと思って。
I mean, she kinda is, right?
他のやつに自分の真似ができるなんて思っちゃいなかったんだろうな。
末の妹のその自意識と自意識過剰はよっぽど心配だけれど、しかしそれは見識だ。
The shadow.
他のスーパースターにありがちなように、自己評価がかなり低いから、自分にできることは頑張れば誰にでもできると信じている節がある。
That's very interesting.
悪いわけじゃないと分かってはいても、今の女子バスケットボール部の現状はそんな努力信仰で形成された風土なのだろう。
Well, you Your feet off the table, Karen. Oh, Hachikochi. Nice. But this episode feels like a Persona playthrough. Like even with the music.
まあ、そりゃな。
We need to recap that when I'm looking. Yeah. Who are you talking to, Hachikochi? Gan?
なんだ、進展があったか。
進展ではなく交代でしょうか。
Holy shit.
FC オフィシャルのことは置いておいて、総当たりローラー調査が終わったらしいんですが、しかし全員の無事が確認されたそうです。
結構なことじゃないか。ようやく飛び込んできたいいニュースだぜ。
Everyone's safety.
そのことほぐべき同胞のどこが交代なんだ？
無事ということは無罪という意味でもあるんですよ。
True. We don't have a culprit.
バスケットボール部員の中に吸血鬼なんていないということがはっきりしたわけですから。
Unless Key is not part of them. We saw her in her original hairstyle. Where you going, Kanburo? Oh, of course. Ooh, okay. I mean, they need to make it happen, right? I love the trees in the back. 35 now. And we're using Kanburo's facilities for that, okay. This is why we transported Suicide Master. Ooh, she dressed up. Alright. Yeah, would be better, right? An offering?
ここは日本式に鬼にはおみきと行こうかと。まったく私の自慢の姉を拒絶したカンバルの家に私がこうしてお邪魔することがあろうとはね。因果ってのは巡る巡る。
なあ、忍様。
Summer. We're playing our roles. She's anxious.
じゃなくて我が重木よ。なんじゃ。
とっさに取り繕っても。まあいいや。なあ、忍様。我が主様。私めからお尋ねしてもよろしいでございましょうか。
I think it's so cool that they switch roles right now.
来なかったけれど、600年生きるってどんな感じなんだ？
That is a loaded question.
私め自身のお話をさせていただきますと、この1年を振り返るだけでも
All the volumes.
ございますよ。
普通に話せ。何を言うておるのかさっぱりわからん。
生きているうちに意見が変わったり気持ちが変わったり
Do they though?
間違いに気づいたり正しさを知ったりするわけじゃないか。
Are you?
友達は作らない。人間強度が下がるからなんて言ってた頃
Kizu. We're back in Kizu.
本気で信じていたわけだし、大学で普通に友達ができることなんてその頃は信じられなかったと思うんだよ。
普通に話されても何を言っておるのかさっぱりわからんの。
He's kind of having a hard time getting to the point.
ズバズバ切り捨ててきたからな。
One past after another. Universal, unchanging. They don't change.
あの春休みに聞いたことをもう一度聞くぜ。忍、お前にとって人間ってなんだ？
That is an interesting question.
かつてまだ推しの忍じゃなかった頃の推しの忍はまだ吸
She was kiss shot.
キスショットアセロラオリオンハートアンダーブレードはこの質問に即答した。食料と即答した。
食らうものよ。すするものよ。
We don't get the answer.
聖なる日が没した今こそ棺桶を引き裂きよみがえらん。肉を血で煮込み骨でかき回せ。夜と共に来たれ。
A real ritual, holy shit. Masterclass performance. I don't know why you're doing what you're doing, but you know what to do, I guess. Haha. Not the caca. Holy shit. Why can't you meet up like normal people? Ooh, I love that frame, that shot. The two young girls in 600 years. What a sentence. You can't be serious. You can't be serious. Fuck you, Monogatari. Fuck you. Holy shit. And we didn't even get the answer to what Araragi was asking. None. Ooh. Alright. I kind of really love this ED. I don't know why, but on my screen it looks so fucking high res and great. Maybe it's just the art style that makes it so crisp. Seshiro hitting the gritty. Also, that's Meniko, right, in the middle. Very curious that a supporting character would have such a role in the ED, but I guess considering the basketball members are also part of the ED, it makes sense that she's a prominent character in the arc. Yeah, I think we talk about it for a second. You know, a second. A literal second. Naturally, as one does. I don't think I need to catch myself. Let's, boom, get it on the screen. Speed it up a little bit. I think I still have like sound on, yeah. Let's disable the sound. I like that really, like that we have the flash of light and Shinobu's coming in. Just very silently, like she's like, I want to talk, but she's not saying it, right? And Araragi rightfully asking the question, right? You're having second thoughts, maybe, right? Don't get any crazy thoughts like in Kizu, and right, this is a clear callback to Kizu when she was thinking of dying for Aragi's sake, right? Like ending her life, which she wanted to do anyway, right? Because she was sick of her immortal life, I guess. Even after all this time, especially because she, at this point in time, she already had cut off her past and forgotten about it, right? About Deathtopia and all of that stuff. And I guess there's like endless time of loneliness, right? Except for Seshiro, who she also lost. So it was her idea, strangely enough, and like ironically enough, very much on par with what Araragi kind of does, or kind of did with his self-sacrificial way. It was her idea on the same line of that, being like, okay, I will offer myself for this guy who wants to be a human again, right? I'll do what I didn't do with Seshiro, and I'll die as a result of that. And Aragi's having these questions. Is she gonna do the same with Deathtopia? Is she gonna be like, right, I'll offer myself to you so you can continue to live, and this is the end of me, right? Because there's like feelings of loss and abandonment here that he's worrying about, where he's like, are you gonna leave me behind? And I don't know how it would work with the mechanics, right? If, like, for example, Deathtopia would drink out Shinobu, and as a result of that, she dies. Would Araragi be a full vampire? Or would he be a full human? Or how does that work, right? Because I know if he would drink, right, he would become a full human if he ended it, right? If he killed Shinobu with it. Yeah, really, really weird because we don't know the exact mechanics of it. Gan would probably know, right? Gan would probably know. I do love this shot, right? That he's like, he's driving, but we're looking at the, right, whatchamacallit, like the rear back mirror or whatever it's called, where he's like has it adjusted in a way that he can look over and see Shinobu's face maybe, or maybe a part of her. They're just peeking over there and reflecting on that. And she's doing the caca, which I think is like not a genuine laugh. It's often used by her in order to overplay her true intentions and her true thoughts and feelings. He was like, you scared me. I didn't have such thoughts until this moment. And I was like, until this moment, that means you possibly have them now? Or was it just like, yeah, you brought them up, now they're obviously in my head, but I don't consider them. But that's a possibility, but I think like the way she's like caca lets me know that maybe she's hiding parts of what she's thinking, right? She's obscuring things because there's things ruminating in her head that maybe she herself doesn't even know about properly. You're the one who's having strange thoughts. Goes over. Let's say that Suicide Master isn't a serial vampire, blah, blah, blah. Incident, yeah. And let's say that she successfully regains consciousness. In the end, will she be exterminated by a specialist? If you really want, I can steer the conversation. Yeah, right. Or we're like harmless, and she's like, that's not how she would compute that, right? If somebody declared her harmless, she would be like, what? Harmless? That's an affront, right? And then she would do anything in her power to actually make herself not appear harmless. Because that's what, like, she takes that challenge. She's like, I'm above all of that. And if it came to it and it came to blows, maybe she would fight it out, or she would just leave somebody somewhere else, right? Where the person can't reach her. And she's like, she didn't turn into a vampire like me. How do you know that? Shinobu, how do you know she was born a vampire? Like, did she tell you that? Do you remember that? Because you cut off that part of your life, right? She's the real thing. She was born a vampire. Was she? But we don't know. At the beginning, we thought you were born a vampire too. You thought yourself you were born a vampire. So how much can we rely on your narration? Oh, holy shit, mommy. This is looking so cool. Fucking hell, I already know one part I want to get into the thumbnail. Yeah, and she has these thoughts. She's like, And very interesting how she opens her eyes, right? She has the eyes closed and downwards and whatnot, and then she's looking ahead like she's locked in. I want to act tough in front of an old buddy. And then we're supposed to switch roles. Change the setting that you're my slave. You're my minion, right? I mean, he is kind of, but like the relationship is different, right? He's the master now technically. Although they kind of built their agreement of like relationship on mutuality, I guess you could say. I don't need to analyze that too much, right? We do have a couple of things that we already looked at that, right? This is still the most interesting thing for me of the intro, right? The elevator ride, and then it kind of kills the light, and the elevator is basically going up or down, and we have Suicide Master leaning on the back, and like there's the red string of her thing, and it's longer than it actually is. And Araki being like, yes, and then something coming out here, like the brain blowing out, and and this one right here, like suicidality or vibes, basically. I do love how we adhere to the rhythm when it comes to how we flash the cards back and forth. Okay, what was that about? Kanbaru, I'm sorry, can you be my slave for a bit? And lend me your house for the night. So he's like, oh, come on, lend me your house, but we tie that to the slave thing. Okay. Secure the second one. Oikora, can you make me some handmade food? Bro's just hanging into the parking area, the parking block, and starting to holy shit. What the fuck is that? Araki, what are you doing with Oikora? Hello? Don't assume you'll survive tonight. It's like, you better not be pulling up tonight. I'm gonna fucking kill you. Failed to secure the third one. What was that? International language studies. Okay. What are we looking at? International language studies. He's also doing international language studies? Interesting. Hola. Well, Spanish probably? Araki, you're early. You're so serious. Being told I'm early by someone who got to her seat before me. Oh, I love that frame. We'll look at the frames in like the extra discussion. I think there's enough to be like extra discussion. The way like it bends, right? Like it has like such a weird, like the hair bends and is creating like a round separation of the two areas, especially when it comes to light and shadow with how it works. But anyway, we'll talk about that later, right? We have a fist bump and we are decrypting shit. She's like, it's the same as before. And it's pretty simple, right? Both times we do have like pretty simple thing with the matching straps, and possibly it could be names, but we find out later on it's not names, it is something else. We don't know what it is, right? It's Fahrenheit and Celsius, and the question is if Fahrenheit and Celsius stand for like the names or not. I do love how we're going, like using the display to go over Gan, right? Like a projector projecting onto the wall. But yeah, nothing matches really. We thought in the beginning that they were looking on the basketball team. Love that shot with like the with the mummy in the foreground and them in the background, like looking through the glass basically. And here we're almost like we're looking at the crime scene from last time where the corpse was found in the lake, right? Now we're looking at like all of that like letter salad. Yeah. And we should find it. You said it's science, but it wasn't math, and still the science field, the natural science, right? Celsius. So there's somebody who's not just good at math, but at a lot of like different science fields, I guess. And I do love Miniko, the way she conducts herself, and she's like getting excited whenever like it's some kind of cipher and whatnot. Absolutely cool. And I also love that he made a new friend in college. We do see that his progression in terms of like his character and whatnot. That FC was the cryptic phrase for that code. Oh, I guess you wouldn't say phrase for initials. Surprised they came up with something like that. And he's like, yes, it would be natural for a basketball member, but she's like, no, it's not something you think of as your consciousness is fading. And she's like, no, I was complimenting her, right, Miniko? I was saying that she came up with that on the spot. Very interesting. She must have a very open and creative mind for that. And there's none who match that description. We talk a little bit about how, like, it could be the fan club, right? Holy shit, that shot. That is a Hana shot, right? That is when she's, like, looking at her arm. I think that's from Hana Monogatari. They all kind of have similar hairdos because they were trying to look like Kanbaru, and not just because they were on an athletic team. Love that, too. I wonder what she's saying here, because she's like, oh yes, they're doing this, right? They're trying to strive after Kanbaru. After seeing such a mucky set of relationships, I'm not scared of vampires at all. I wonder what she means by that. I really can't fathom that. Maybe she's like, whatever these high school girls have with their like messed up relationships, it's way messier than anything a vampire could ever be. It's way like scarier for me, which is like, holy shit, that is a bar. Complicated human interactions and emotions and whatnot, and like broken relationships being scarier to Gan than any kind of oddity. But that makes sense, right? She's a specialist in oddities. She is not a specialist in understanding teenagers, I guess, or understanding relationships of teenagers, or relationships in general, maybe. Although she's very good at like holding cordial work relationships and being able to move people on a chessboard, basically. I mean, that is insane because they put that pressure onto themselves, right? They're like, all right, we're fans of this big athlete who was at our school before, and we're trying to live in her name, and then we're motivating each other by getting the same haircut and all that, and just like, but it puts an immense pressure on us to perform, and whenever we don't, we feel that is like some kind of like almost like we are ashamed to wear that hair because we are not living up to what we want to live up to. Basketball team is a bit special, and I really don't want to think that this is the general case. Yeah, but sometimes it kind of is, and that's especially when it comes to like competitive fields, or when it comes to people who are at the very like top, right, trying to be the best in academia, athletics, whatever. Sometimes that can be really, really messy. I like to think it's not that way everywhere, right? The places I went to haven't had that to that degree, but I've heard stuff and I was like, shit, that's kind of messed up, really. A high school colony is like an ant colony, right? And she She stepped into the ant colony and now the ants are swarming out. And Kakenui will show, well, I have my feet stuck in a murky, bottomless pit that I can't make sense of. I love that frame of her while she leans back. Not like she didn't listen. And she's like, she has a personal history with Deathtopia, apparently. So the going theory is that Deathtopia was actually weak enough so the force field wouldn't affect her at all. And her trying to get back could possibly either have been her starving and trying to get back and not making it, or her being assaulted by somebody the person who mummified all the other ones and being ditched there when she was trying to make it back to Hachikuji. I do love that shot with like the red in the background and like the one light here, which could represent the moon, but also just a normal light spotlight. Yeah, lost against her own hunger and assaulted high school girl. She's like, could be. And we do, like, I think the background with like the white spots is kind of Kizu-esque, I feel. I don't remember quite, but I feel like we have something like that in Kizu. Right. We need to assume the innocence at some point, right now. Questionable relationship. So they probably went to blows before, and something happened, right? Maybe Kagenui even lost or something, right? I mean, the most interesting parts of this episode are actually at the end, but we'll go through it anyway, right? He's like, if I err in the measures that I take, I will be forced to excommunicate another one of my juniors. It's like, if it goes against what I want to do and Kagenui actually kills Deathtopia without us wanting that to happen, then we need to excommunicate her, just like she did with Tadatsuru, which she doesn't want to do. And I just hate that, right? And we have the red background in every one of those. What's that? HRNIBP SPO2. That has to be like some medical stuff, right? Some normal medical stuff. Felt like something that outsiders should not step into. Getting back on topic, and we're like going back to, I think the initials, right? Getting back on topic for, yeah, different initials. Nobody with those initials were on the roster. And we're talking, could be fan club where we're talking about that. And just now when I thought about how the mummies all have basically the same hairstyle. Yeah. And he's recalling all of that stuff that happened about like Kanbaru's. I love what are they doing with like the backgrounds here. It's amazing. It's really cool. Kanbaru's Sir was the name. And Karen, I'm sorry, Karen. I'm really glad that Karen is back. That we saw her. I haven't seen her in quite a minute. Holy shit. She's swinging across like Spider-Man or something, right? Some Hero of Justice bullshit. And Kanbaru's just running another marathon casually. And she's like, take care of yourself. It's very interesting, like I said, that this comes right after we had that moment of him possibly not coming back from hell as they believed. And her being worried about her junior, which makes her very endearing to me. I'm not gonna be honest. Oftentimes she acts like very distant, right? She acts like she's got everything under control, and right, she's kind of patronizing you, but she acts like it doesn't affect her so much. Like last episode and this episode have kind of giving me more of a warm feeling for Gan in terms of like she really cares, right? Even if maybe she's sometimes a little bit coy and right, the way she expresses herself, but maybe that changes now, right? That we have reached that step where we see more of concerned Gan, more of Gan that actually cares to a degree. It was like, hey Karen, I'd like to ask you something. She's like, hold the fuck on. I just came through the door. Can't you say, hey, how you doing? Alright, you're too straight to the point, yeah. She's looking pretty much like she looked before. And I thought they were like, that's very interesting. They're the same size at this point. So Araragi's still growing? Because I remember her being taller than him. Really nice shot. And she's like immediately getting into her training gear, which is like this fucking room. We do have like kickboxing here. We do have karate or some kind of like some kind of martial art. We do have the small weights. We do have like the bench press. We do have like 5 fucking boxing sacks. What? We have a lot of like little mats and stuff for training. We do have a rope. Like, she is the sports person. She's like the next Kanbaru, basically. Love how we're like also swinging with the boxing kit. But whatever the perp is in the girls basketball team or the fan club, whether they are, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference in the fact that there's a chance a vampire is nonchalantly attending the high school. Yeah, right? That would be a danger to general society. Also, the fucking sand in the back running out is like, what the fuck? Don't destroy your stuff, Condor. What are you doing? I like the water dispenser, right? Keep yourself hydrated. And I like that he's casually asking, how are you doing, right? Like, how is school going for you and whatever, right? He's checking in, he's being concerned. We don't see that all the time in anime, that you see like casual conversations of like, hey, how are you doing, by the way? I haven't seen you like in a couple of weeks. I don't know what kind of school life is going like, but my new world is fun. And I thought so, right? She's not, like, first of all of the fucking trophies in the background were like, holy shit. But also, first of all, really nice framing with like the very symmetrical way this is played out, right? Perfectly symmetrical, but well, her ponytail is the asymmetrical part. But anyway, also I really like that, as I believed, she is tough, right? She is, nothing's gonna keep her down. She's like somebody who wakes up in the morning and is like, this is gonna be a good day. And even if it's a bad day, she's gonna be like, tomorrow is gonna be a good day, right? Or, right, she's kicking in the face of misery, basically. She's always happy, or seems always happy. She's not always happy, we do know that from like Nisa and whatnot. But she is very bright, very optimistic. And that is what makes her charming. Right, and we're asking about the Fire Sisters. I love how we're like swinging in the tact of the background OST that we had. That gaze to the side. She's doing it by herself, right? What I wanted to ask was, just like the girls' basketball team, what happened after Karen, the central figure and core, left? Because Karen was always the one about justice, and Tsukihi was just going along with that, right? Because it's been fun for her to go along with that. The second sack. What kind of change did the Tsukanoki second middle school community undergo, right? Karen was one of the most prominent figures there. How is Tsukihi doing, right? How are the people in that school doing? Right? Was there a turf war, the position of Tsukihi's next partner, or a battle between factions? Right? He's asking, what does that to an environment, to a community, if the central figure disappears because they move on in life? And that is a thing that happens all the time, right? Community leaders, people who are central figures of school communities, of like workplace communities, they leave, and what happens then? Is somebody filling in the gap? Is there going to be conflict? Is there going to be insecurities? Is there going to be problems arising, right? I think our strategist Tsukihi was doing really well regarding that. Tsukihi, for better or worse, thinks she is special. She thinks nobody else can do the things like she does, myself included, and she would be right to think that, but maybe not always in a good way. He's blinking. My youngest sister's self-consciousness and how it is so excessive makes me worry a bit. You are right to be worried, Aragi. You are right to be worried, but that's my opinion. That's my opinion too, and it is something to maybe talk about in another arc, probably. And we do see like the Phoenix shadow. Kanbaru, typical of superstars, made from effort, has very low self-esteem, right? Okay, he's saying like superstars who are superstars because of their effort and not just like maybe very talented from the get-go are people. I wouldn't generalize that, but there's certainly a good deal, a good portion of them who are people, I would sign that, who are not as confident, or at least were not as confident, right? You gain confidence, but you build your confidence on the fact that you put so much effort into something. So your confidence comes from the effort and not from you thinking you are something special. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Is something she tends to believe in, though we know that Kanbaru is not in the wrong. the current climate of the girls' basketball union has been created by such a faith in effort, right? We do have maybe too much faith in effort and do neglect other parts, right? Community, working together, talent, right? The right circumstances, all of these things. And we think that by putting in more and more and more and more and more effort, at some point in time, we're going to reach what we want to reach. But maybe if we put in too much effort, where actually the curve is going down and our efficiency is going down. She's so carefree, Karen. Transporting an ancient I didn't even see that. That means that the fifth mummy hasn't been created yet, I think. We don't know about that. I've just become a god, so if my eyes had reached every corner of this town without any hitches, an incident like this would have never happened in the first place. She's like, well, she's blaming herself, kind of. That's a shame. It's not that I regret allowing her through. Well, of course. And then we get called, and it's like, yes, hello, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, it's not development, but regression. Well, he'll leave the initials FC aside. They finished the steamrolling investigation, but it seems everyone's safety has been confirmed, right? Everybody of the basketball team members. That's what I didn't initially get right away. That's something amazing. We finally got some good news coming in. What part of this choice thing is regression? It's the fact that we can't suspect any of them anymore. And she's slightly stirring. And she's like, we're back to square one. Not exactly, right? We're ruling out possibilities. That's not back to square one. That's just us making very hard progress. It's not easy. I love how we're doing that, right? With it being thrown out of nowhere and us catching it. Really cool. Also Kanbaru. Holy shit. Holy shit, Kanbaru. Also pajama party. Holy shit. This panel. This fucking panel. Hikaza being like, let me send that to Aragi. Yeah. They're having a meeting, right? They're discussing what are we about to do about this, because they feel responsible. Even if they're not involved anymore, you are the ones who kind of lived that example, and you left those people, this community behind, and you feel a little bit responsible for them to actually maybe make sure that they get onto a healthier path for themselves and for their general, like for their team and everything. Very nice. I mean, I do see Kanbaru, but I don't see I think Hikaza might be this one? I don't know. Right, and those are the other members that we don't know. There's one more favor I'd like to ask you. It's like, we don't know what favor, right? Because I'm kind of just... Okay. Oh, this is beautiful. Look at that. Also, Kanbaru, how rich are your fucking parents? I mean, I knew they were kind of rich, but... And she's like... The show must go on. Cool. She's like dressed to impress. Even if you end up in battle situation, she's created a barrier, right? And we're making an offering, right? She's doing her best as a specialist. Rainbow colors around. I didn't think I'd visit the Kanbaru house. I'd rejected my dearest big sister like this. Interesting. Did they reject Toigan? I don't know. I mean, Kanbaru was the name of Gan's husband, right? Did they reject her? Did we know about this? Let me know. Let me know in the comments, because I don't remember that. I just know that they died in a car accident, and I know that Kanbaru was taken in by... Right, Tsuruga was taken in by her father's side. Right, and she's doing the ritual. Lady Shinobu, or Shinobu-sama. It's interesting, I just read Lady Shinobu, right? But when I watched the episode... I could have sworn there was Shinobu-sama standing in the subtitle. So sometimes it's like I hear something and I'm like latching onto it, and I actually... Human perception, people, this is insane. My servant, and she has to correct herself because it's so automatic. Her like I can't say it. I don't know. Like I'm flubbing my words here. Shure kamimashita. Let me just actually listen to it. I want to say it. Wanga Aruji-sama. Alright. I can only say that one time. After that, I'll like my brain is gonna be like, you can't say it anymore. Wanga Aruji-sama. I don't know how to write it. That's also a thing. You need to kind of conceptualize how the word is being put together, especially in hiragana, for example. If I could know the hiragana and I would be able to memorize it, then I would probably be able to say it more easily. Because I can translate it into like Romanji and then kind of just express it the way it's supposed to be expressed phonetically. But yeah, And he's speaking very formal, right? Is there something I can inquire of you? He's like, I hadn't thought about this, but how is it to live for 600 years? Because he's looking at somebody who's lived for 600 years, right? And Shinobu is the only person who can relate. He's kind of ruminating on that. It's a loaded question, like very, very loaded question if you think about it. Because like, how do you describe that in a few words? Could probably talk about it for days on end and not be finished with your thought process and ruminating and whatnot. You could write a whole book about that. And it's like, holy shit, we need to look at this right here. We're looking at it later on as well in like the extra discussion, but this is really cool. It's like we're scrolling on a phone and it's each and every arc that we had so far. Yutaki Crab, Mayoi Snail, Suroga Monkey, Nadeko Snake, Tsubasa Cat. We have, holy shit, what is that? I mean, I know it's Kizumonogatari, but how do you, is that even an arc? We have like Renketsu Hen, Tenketsu Hen, whatever it's called, right? Right? Iron-blooded, hot-blooded, cold-blooded. Then we have Karen B. We should have Tsukihi Phoenix? Not quite sure. Because that looks like, those are Bakemonogatari, I know that. This is Kize. This is probably Nise, Karen B, right? And then we have like Senjugahara. What was that? I don't even know. Why was Senjugahara in that? I guess it's the Kaiki stuff, right? So it could still be Tsukihi Phoenix? I'm not sure. With Shinobu, I don't know which one that is. Not gonna lie. I know, I remember her like sunflower head or whatever it's called. And we have Tsukihi here, which is like probably Tsukihi Phoenix, I would assume. But it could be something else. It could be Tsukihi Undo as well, if you think about it, like with all of the masks and the way she looks. And we do have this one, which is Tsukihi and Karen sitting here. Which I think this is a new one, actually. Huh. So they're not in order. That is probably Neko Koro, right? And that is Neko Shuro. That is, right, Tsubasa Family. We have Tsubasa Tiger. We have, right, both of those are Tsubasa Tiger. So we have doubles. Okay, cool. We have this one, which is definitely a Bake. Looks like Tsubasa Cat, maybe. Right? Like little Shinobu with the helmet and Oshino still being present. Then we have, that's probably also Mayoi Snail because she's opening a door and we see the snail. That is obviously Chiganchi. Then we have, what is that? Is that, could be Nadeko Medusa. Early stage Nadeko Medusa, late stage Nadeko Medusa. Kizumonogatari, clearly. Oh, no, that's not Kizumonogatari. That's, whatchamacallit, Onimonogatari. Which I don't even know what that was again. Shinobu male, maybe? Not quite sure. And we have this one, which is, I remember that when they were all three together with the darkness and whatnot. I think, what was that? It was at the same time chronologically as Tsubasa Tiger, which is, what is that? Chronologically, is it at the same time chronologically? Yeah, I think it's at the same time chronologically as Tsubasa Tiger because he sends that message where he's like, oh, by the way, I'm fine, Senjugahara, don't worry about me. At the same time as Senjugahara and Hanekawa are having their little shower session. And then we have Hitagi, is it Hitagi Rendezvous? I think it's Hitagi Rendezvous. And then we have Koi Monogatari here. I think maybe both of those are actually Koi Monogatari, could be. And then we have Hana Monogatari, of course we do have Hana, double Hana. We do have, it's Tsuki Monogatari, right? Or it's Tsuki, yeah, it's Tsuki Monogatari. It's Yotsugi Doll. Is that Yotsugi Doll? Yeah, I think that should be Yotsugi Doll as well, but could also be the other one, which is like where he suddenly, but that could be Yotsugi Doll as well, with like Kagenui when he suddenly his mirror image is not there anymore. And then we have, obviously, this is Ogi Dark. This one is Sodachi Lost. We have the thing with Seishiro, which is, like I said, Shinobu something. I think Shinobu male, but I'm not sure. Not sure about the donuts, like the alien donuts. And we do have this one is probably like a final panel kind of deal. Just really cool. Really nice. See everyone on there. And then we have Mayoi Hell, and we have... That is Ogi Dark for sure. Then maybe the last thing was Ogi Mystery, with like the classroom and whatnot. And this is definitely Hitagi. No, the earlier one was Koi Monogatari, then I don't remember how that was called. And this one is actually Hitagi Rendezvous. And now we do have Soku Owari with like alternate reality, Hachikuchi, Ononoki, and Oikura, which is really cool. And then we're back. Holy shit. Speak normally. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea anymore. He asked about the 600 years. As you live, your opinions change, right? This is what normally for a human happens and what we would conceptualize as living for 600 years. Your feelings change, you notice your mistakes, you learn that what is right and all that. I don't need friends, blah, 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 right? We did have that in Kizumonogatari. They make me weaker. Back then I was saying that I really believed that to be true, but today I don't. To be able to make friends normally at college, Miniko, was something I would never believe back then. Even if she's like, I don't get it. I still don't get it. I've severed one past after another if I couldn't remember it. She's saying, if I couldn't remember it, then I've severed that past. In the first place, apparitions are unchanging and universal before they are immortal, right? It doesn't mean they can't be changing, right? The way I read that, but before they are immortal changing beings, they are unchanging and universal. That is like a law governing everything below it. And only in the very few cases where this doesn't apply, right? There's always exceptions, even to most universal laws. Then maybe there's some changes. That's how I understand it, but I don't think Shinobu understands it that way. I think Shinobu thinks they're completely unchanging. In the first place, apparitions are unchanging. She's saying that, but then we have a very interesting question. By the way, I really like this frame where we have everybody in there. It's not very like detailed, but we do have a really cool shot over the rocks. They don't continually change like humans do, continually, right? But they change on occasions based on cognitions and other things. Also funny Araragi face. Then I'll ask again what I asked you back during the spring break. Just putting it on her here, and she's looking sad, right? Thinking back to spring break makes sense. What are humans to you, Shinobu? And he's like, back then, right? Back then he asked her straight, and that was the answer that came from Kiss Shot. And the answer was food. Which is interesting because food doesn't equal food, right? Especially if we look at Deftopia and how she considers food. She immediately answered the question food, and here she hesitates. Even before things are happening, before Gaan does her great show, before Deftopia starts breaking out, she does hesitate to answer it. That's the reason why we get interrupted. So there has been a change, because otherwise she would have immediately said food. And that's just not a reality anymore, because Shinobu is a different being. So I guess like what we've learned over the course of this season is with Tsuki and everything we're going through with Nadeko, with Araragi and with Shinobu, and with Deftopia as well, we have learned that oddities generally don't change. But when they change, then they become different oddities altogether. That is what I compute here, right? Asarola was a human. She was turned into a vampire, which is an oddity. She was that vampire for 500-600 years, right? And then she was turned into Shinobu, who is a different kind of oddity, right? Even if she's still a vampire and could still turn into a vampire, her current state, her state of being is not that of a vampire. And as a result of that, or maybe because you could say as a result of her changing to that form, she herself changed in her attitudes, her thoughts, her feelings, her emotions, right? Her worldview. But you could also say that as a result of her worldview, her changing, her emotions changing, people's cognition of her changing, her form changed, right? It was not like as a direct result, but it was an inevitability of her form changing because these changes were happening. At least that's how I read it. Gaan putting herself in all the colors, spotlight on everything, right? And this is cool, like this glitch effect. We did that earlier already, but that's really cool. The negative colors glitch effect. Like the top-down view of like a monumental event happening, basically. And she's breaking free. Everybody like holding their breath, and then she's opening her eyes, and she gazes at the sky, and then she gazes over. And the first thing she sees is Shinobu. Well, not even Shinobu, that's the interesting thing, right? I mean, she sees her, right? But look at where we frame this. We see her form, and we see Araragi, clear up Araragi in the background of her. Right, as like the central figure as well, right? I mean, she's lit up, Shinobu's lit up, so the focus is on her, but Araragi is being perceived. Araragi is being perceived in the back. And we have Shinobu, eyes cut off. We don't know where the emotions are right now, her emotions. We only see later, right, the immediate, like the couple of seconds later reaction she's showing, but we don't know how genuine those are. Despite, right, the way she laughs, right, we get to that in a second. Deftopia laughing her real happy laugh, because she's reached her goal, right? She's seeing her again. Eyes widening, fangs going out. She's just lying there laughing, like almost a very creepy laugh, right? The entire atmosphere is kind of creepy and feels like fake and false, but at the same time, that is her real laugh, basically. And she's a vampire, right? She's like an unholy being. It makes sense that her laugh would be kind of like unsettling, weird, and fakish for humans. And then Shinobu's just answering with the same one, and we still don't see her eyes here. We still don't see her eyes here. We don't know. Is this her just responding like almost like a ritual? Like she's saying earlier on where she's like, I want to look tough in front of the person, right? An old buddy, an old friend. Or is this her actually genuinely laughing out of happiness? Maybe both, right? In a way, she has her reservations, she has her thoughts and feelings that she's closing down, but at the same time, she is happy to see her again and see her awake again. And we do see this, which in my opinion is a very optimistic, right? A very happy view, right? Her having very wide, round eyes, as opposed to like having a lot of corners and whatnot. That would be more like unhappy, right? That would be more like tense. She's not tense, she's open. Her eyes are open basically, and her smile is slightly nervous, but still there, right? Clearly visible. We have like that slight Meniko style, and somebody said in the comments last time that, or like a couple of episodes ago, that this might be one of the favorite ways to draw like a mouth for the illustrator, which is really cool, the character designer. And we laugh like this weird, like unholy, this like maniac laugh, basically. Almost looks like Hoin Kyoma or something. But we have that little, right, that in her eyes there's almost like a nervousness or anxiety in there. And it's like the whole universe lines up, right? All of the stars and like the monuments piercing into the galaxy, basically into the heavens, almost reaching the moon, and it's zooming in as if the whole wide world is looking upon this scene. And we're walking down that aisle, basically. Right, and both laughing, and we do have the shadow of her and the part, like the lower part of Shinobu walking towards her. She's looking up. Not like this exaggerated smile and laugh, more like a very tame, satisfied look on her eyes, and she's closing her eyes almost like I'm complete. And she's repeating her usual sentence, it seems I have died yet again. She's kind of clutching her hands, almost like close to the heart. It's like a very endearing scene. And she's like almost a little bit coy, looking over and being like, both of us have aged, haven't we? She's kneeling down to her. It's like the two young girls have been reunited for the first time in 600 years. 2 glasses of wine, as we've seen like in the when she's actually talking about it in episode 8, when she's like, I could visit her again, right? When she's reminiscing, like kind of being sad about it. But yeah, that's it. We're gonna have an extra discussion. It's maybe not gonna be too long. I'll look over it, see what I can glean from that. Maybe, hopefully 20 minutes. The way I know myself, it's probably gonna be 45 minutes again, but hopefully not. 20 minutes is fine too, right? I have enough to do as it is. But yeah. Thank you for watching. This has been Monogatari Off&Monster Season Episode 12, Shinobumonogatari. And I'm very excited for next time talking to Deftopia, right? Getting at the bottom of all of this. And as we have seen, right, 13 and 14 are still left. This is one arc. And it's hopefully gonna end with a banger. Right, I'll see you next week. Check out my ReZero reactions. I'm a light novel reader, but I'm not gonna spoil anything in the reactions themselves, and maybe sometimes we have some like extra light novel discussions afterwards, but most of what I'm doing, especially like for the first episode, for example, most of my discussion was art and themes and topics and cool stuff happening during the episode. It was an amazing episode. Go check it out. I'm probably gonna upload a Disco or Elysium playthrough, or have probably already when this drops. Could check that out as well. And I'll see you next time.